Welcome everyone. This is Alpha Leak 7, I believe. We've got Anna here from CoW. So quick introduction for people that don't know about Infinex. We're trying to accelerate the extinction of centralized exchanges. So we want to bring the UX that you get at something like Coinbase or Binance, except have the backend be all decentralized so you can maintain custody of your assets, but still make it really easy for anyone to use. Just before we start chatting to Anna here, I've got a couple of updates. So we've got a zip at the moment for the Sonic expansion, which is super exciting. And then everyone would know that we had the Renzo airdrop this week as well. If you needed extra details about that or worried about why you didn't get it, feel free to open a ticket. And then in terms of the actual leak, we've got this UI screenshot. Some of you might have seen June posted it. If you don't follow June yet, you should definitely go and follow 0x June 2000. He's our absolute gun 10x front-end engineer, and he often posts screenshots and leaks of what Infinex is building. So definitely want to follow him. So now, Anna, I'd love to give you time to sort of introduce yourself and CoW.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for having us here today. I'm one of the co-founders of CoW Protocol, usually based in Portugal, thankfully right now in the US, which makes it a little easier to join at this time. And I've been around the space also for some time, since 2017. Initially joined Gnosis, and then as part of Gnosis, we were looking into like more efficient exchange protocol mechanisms. Came up with what is today CoW Protocol, and then me and Felix decided to take this to the next step, spin out of Gnosis, and now, since I think 3 years ago, CoW is live, and building user-centric products, and mainly CoW Protocol, which is our decentralized exchange protocol.
Yeah, awesome. I guess that's pretty similar and like vision alignment for Infinex. I think it's a big wave at the moment of people are starting to realize they need to actually focus on user needs beyond just building a sort of decentralized backend, making sure the front end looks nice and it makes sense and intuitive to use is becoming super important. I guess for people that don't know a lot about CoW, what actually is it, and why is it exciting? I guess that someone would want to use CoW over another aggregator.
Yeah, it's a good question. Again, like CoW is like in its simplest form, just a DEX. That is, in a way, you could describe it as an aggregator of the aggregators, but it has a few things that make its mechanism really unique. And the first one essentially is that users, they don't craft a normal regular Ethereum or blockchain transaction, but instead they just sign an intent. This is now something that has become more common, but when we launched it 4 years ago, nobody was doing it yet. And what this allows is essentially that even somebody who's not sophisticated can place a transaction and can be assured that it's being executed in the best possible way by a third party that we call solvers. And these solvers are even able to adjust your parameters based on what the user defined. So the user decides, okay, these are my parameters for the transaction, the minimum price I'm willing to accept. But then solvers who are more sophisticated, they compete against each other and like see if they can find a better solution for you than what you initially were satisfied with. And then execute this on behalf of the user. So for example, they could adjust a user slippage tolerance if a user places a too high slippage tolerance, and the solver realizes, okay, actually we don't have to execute it with that large slippage on chain, and there's always a risk if you have a large slippage defined that value is extracted, then they can reduce the slippage on behalf of the user to protect them. But again, to some extent, this has been copied now by others, so I wouldn't say this is that unique anymore. But there's also an auction. So essentially, there's around 24 solvers currently who compete to get the execution done for the user. And what they compete for is an optimized pricing for the user. So whichever solver finds the best execution path that generates the most value for the user is actually the one who gets to execute it on chain. And then I would say the last component here to highlight is that CoW protocol facilitates batching. So user orders are not processed one by one, but actually multiple different user orders can be batched together and additionally create efficiency. So if you have someone wanting to try USDC for ETH and someone ETH for USDC, you can directly match them against each other peer-to-peer, reduce gas costs, but also reduce the surface attack vector of MEV, which is really important. So yeah, there's a bunch of protection mechanisms enabled in CowSwap that make it not only, but also specifically attractive for users who trade large orders.
Yeah, I think the big thing with the way I had intents described to me, and it's funny, I think I first found out about CowSwap in like 2021 ETHCC or something like that when you guys were quite small. And I remember there being like, I took one of your hats just because it had a cow on it, and and then I didn't look at what the protocol did for a really long time, except when I dove into it, I sort of tried to understand intents, because I think it's a phrase that's thrown around a lot. And for the people that are like less technical, I think a good way of thinking of it is it's a little bit like a limit order where you place your sort of ask, and if someone can't fulfill it at the price that you want, that it won't go through. So it's not like swapping on Uniswap where you sort of have to go through all these like failed transactions sometimes. And then yeah, it's also much more optimized for these like larger trades.
I like your example, and the very interesting part about CowSwap is it's the only protocol where you can create a limit order and you might actually get an even better price than your limit price. So you can place a limit price, and actually in many cases you get a better price than what you defined.
Yeah, I've seen that. So people are talking about that around the office. Is like they were saying it's the only aggregator that when they use it, they sometimes end up getting more money than the quote pricing. So that's definitely something, especially because we just recently added, you're going to be able to select your providers. It's something to look out for. People, especially in big size, should expect to see CowSwap up there as the recommended routes with the best pricing.
Yeah, actually, I should clarify here. So you're completely right. I do think there's also others that for in-market limit orders, they provide a better, like they give the user sometimes more than the limit price. But the special thing about CoW protocol is even for out-of-market limit orders.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to sell my ETH when it hits 4,000. Then everywhere else you would get exactly the execution price of 4,000, but in the case of CoW protocol, you might actually get even more than $4,000 for your ETH. Anyway, let's move on, but I think that's definitely one of the unique parts of the mechanism of CoW protocol.
Yeah. So the other thing that I always know that CowSwap is known for is just these like massive size orders, and it's something that like I personally I don't have a lot of experience with. But how big like an order can CowSwap handle? Like, do you have any examples of like massive orders that you guys have filled, or how big are sort of your average order sizes?
I think the largest order we ever settled was 32 million. But to be fair, it was also pure stable to stable coin trade. And then I think the other, like the largest non-stable to stable asset trade was, I think, 15 million, which was, I think, Aave ETH as a pair. The point is, with CowSwap, you have like several mechanisms that protect you. But then also you tap into all the different liquidity that is available on chain that obviously distributes your trade to make sure that you have the least possible price impact. Still, we would recommend, if you really trade sizes of like $10 million, it might make sense to actually use TWAP orders. It's also a feature that we offer, basically allowing to divide your trade into smaller chunks and execute them. You would still have a very smooth experience of basically just signing a transaction once, but you would define parameters, actually break up my $10 million trade into 10 individual trades of 1 million each. And then you can define the time interval as well. And that's just an added security mechanism to make sure that there's less price impact, because the larger of a trade you place, depending on how deep the liquidity pools of these assets really are, you might still incur price impact. So it's more reasonable for really large trades to actually break them down into smaller sizes.
Then I think the most important thing that I want to ask about is how, if you guys had the moo in the UI since the very beginning, or how did the mooing? Because for people that don't know, when you actually swap in CoW, it just moves at you as you execute the trade. And has that been in from the beginning? Why? Whose idea was it to add this moo in?
It actually has been there since the beginning. Honestly, I think this is one of the reasons why we initially got adoption, because it just gave this additional fun factor. And it actually, but it's not only for fun, it's actually quite useful, because a lot of the times, I mean, especially on Ethereum, like transactions take a little bit. And then users are frustrated and feel much longer when they're just looking at the screen and like wondering, when do I get the tokens into my wallet? Whereas it's much more convenient if you can just open up another tab browser and like look at something else and like keep working on whatever else you wanted to work on. And then in the background, whenever the trade is ready, you either hear the satisfying sound of a moo, which means your trade positively executed, or you hear the sad sound of a moo in the rare case that something happened and the trade failed. And yeah, so the moo sound is actually not coming from a real cow. We had an internal competition and asked team members to record themselves making different sounds of cows.
So who made the moo?
Ben, he's not with us anymore, but he was for a long time one of our data analysts. He was very good at it, so he won the competition.
Damn, we need to have an Infinex competition to be making sounds for the UI. We probably would sample something, but who needs to buy a sound when you can just make everyone internally try and make it?
It worked out quite surprisingly well. I mean, we still use it until today. We never exchanged it.
It must be really weird for him if he's ever using the swaps to just hear his own mooing coming back at him.
I think his daughter loves it. Like, he has a little girl, and she loves hearing the moo sound.
Also, I think like now I'd love to give you the floor if there's anything new coming up for CoW that you want the Infinex community to be paying attention to. What's time to sort of shill if there's anything coming up?
Yeah, I think one thing is, yes, we have talked about that CoW is really good for large volume traders, and it is. But I think we also need to kind of shake off that stigma. We have always like positioned us as this is great for whale traders, because it is, but it doesn't mean we are exclusively good for whale traders. We are also really good for normal, smaller trade sizes, and with the same added advantages. Then another point, maybe, I don't think it's super known yet that we recently also rolled out an Arbitrum and Base, and there's more networks to be followed very soon. Like in Q2, we want to add at least also Optimism and Binance, and potentially a bunch of other networks. So soon, CoW will finally roll out to more networks, which has been heavily requested. Then we also launch Swap and Bridge very soon. And then maybe the last thing that I wanted to mention that is kind of cool is we also launched an AMM last year. We haven't put so much attention on it because it currently still has a reduced feature set. But in a month and a half from now, we're going to launch the fully fledged version of it. And the specialty about this AMM is that a lot of liquidity provision usually is not very profitable, how a lot of data has shown. The reason being that if you provide liquidity in AMM, you always take what the opposite side of a trade. Like you don't choose what side you trade on, and so there's a lot of sex-dex arbitrage where liquidity providers always trade at an outdated worse price and hence over time lose more and more money. And CoW is preventing that, as it only allows people to trade against it as part of a cow swap batch, where surplus is distributed to all liquidity providers, making sure that they can simply earn yield on the assets and don't lose money at the same time from MEV.
Nice. Now, I think that sort of wraps up our CoW section. You're welcome to stay on. The next section, we're going to talk through some news. I've got like a eventful bit of news that happened, and then we're going to flick through community content, and then we've got a quiz at the end. And so in terms of our like trench report, I thought the interesting thing that I saw this week, which is kind of relevant to CowSwap as well, is we had this whale trader on Hyperliquid shorting Bitcoin. It was a like $333 million short position, which I thought was pretty insane. It was amazing. And it's amazing hearing, Anna, that CowSwap's managing transactions of like 30 million, because to think that like a couple of years ago, sometimes trying to execute trades with 100 grand was hard to do on chain because it was just not liquid enough. And there was only plain AMMs. It was pretty difficult to execute anything with size. You needed to do these like complicated TWAPs, and sometimes there wasn't even protocols for that. Except now it's crazy to see that people are executing these absolutely massive trades on chain easily. The sort of exciting part here was a bunch of whales tried to get together. CBB, sort of a famous whale on crypto Twitter, posted a screenshot of Justin Sun DMing him, and they were going to try and like pump the price of Bitcoin to liquidate this Hyperliquid trader. They didn't manage to do so. I'm not surprised, but I still thought it was pretty crazy to see it play out. In terms of our community content this week, we've got, I love these, Bandit XBT. Kane's probably going to hate me for showing these off, but Bandit XBT was face swapping Kane's face onto Tony Soprano's face. And then this one's down the bottom right, we've got, it's nothing personal, patron sellers are just not around these blocks, and a bunch of guys threatening them with guns. And we're starting to see a lot more art from the Infinex community, which is really cool. OX Top, he's a super active community member. He dropped this Infinex Frog General with all of the badges as our integrations. We'll have to add a CowSwap badge in there. And then we had Gravel, a newer community member, drawing walking past the Infinex building and walking away from the centralized exchange building, with Mazzino here to welcome him, who's another community member. This one got me really good because he posted, I'm not going to read this out, but it says that he wanted to play Bull Run. He deposited $50, and then when he tried to withdraw, it asked him to add an email address, and we didn't need an email to deposit. And I thought this was very funny because this is actually a copy pasta from our Discord that people spam pretty often. It was a very early bit of feedback that then people just picked up and started spamming to sort of make a joke out of it. Except when we saw this feedback posted on Twitter again, we actually realized that it's not a very good flow needing an email to withdraw if you don't need an email to deposit. So we're actually gonna we're looking to fix this up. So it's funny how copy pasta joke is actually end up influencing our product. We've also had here Mazzino and Hexo both made tools for Bull Run. So this is a tool to look at your Bull Run leaderboard. For those that don't know, Bull Run is our prediction card game. And we've got these tools, which one of them is going to let you see your leaderboard, and then the other one is going to let you see the price movements of different Bull Run cards. This one is, for me, the big winner of this week. For those that weren't there last week, C-Man, sorry if I'm not saying that right, made a meme of a Pepe wearing an Infinex cowboy hat like this. And I said, you should make the hats real as a comment reply. And he's actually now made the cowboy hat, which I could not believe when I saw it this morning. So he's going to win our like community contributor of the week heavyweight prize. And he's also said he wanted to give it away with a poker tournament, but I think we're going to host a community content tournament to give away this hat. And so stay tuned for the details for that. And then hopefully we can give it away next Alpha Leak. Now we've got our quiz. So I'm just going to bring that up. And everyone remember to stay on because we've actually got a message from Kane at the end as well. And Anna, you're more than welcome to join in on the quiz. So the way it's going to work is there's going to be a little scan code that's going to pop up on the screen. And then we can all start. Just 1 second. Okay, everyone, scan the code and join the quiz, please. Damn, Apollo wasn't the first to join. Apollo, you're normally always in first, but you got beaten this time. We've had a few of our last guests winning the quiz as well, Anna, so there's a lot of pressure on for you.
Yeah, I'm hiding my name, so it's less embarrassing if I'm doing that. I picked an undisclosed name. Unless you know everybody because of everybody.
I don't know everyone. I know about, hopefully at some point I'll know every single attendee of Alpha League, and know them all by name, except I probably know about half. I'll give everyone another couple of seconds, normally around 40, and then we can start, but people are welcome to join late as well.
Wait, is this Manu from Bootnode? If people are actually using the real names,
People usually use their Discord node. It probably is them, because I'm pretty sure we use them. Oh, now we're up to 69. Okay, I think we can get started. 70 people is pretty good turnout.
get ready.
Most of these were mentioned on the call, so it should be pretty easy.
Now you really make sure to check if people are listening.
It's a trick.
I feel like in high school.
This is what my uni lecturers used to do.
Yay, first one right. Wow, it's not everybody got it right.
It's also on the speed that you respond as well.
Ah.
This one should be easy.
Clearly it barks.
You need like different skins for cow swap with different animals on it.
We were actually considering this, at least for April Fools. Let's see.
Oh, when the market's going really badly, rename it to bear swap.
That's actually a clever idea. I like it.
Manu's in the chat saying it is him.
Hi, Manu. Good to see you.
This is for people that were watching early. There was also a little bit of
whatever's most hip at the moment. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess you could probably guess.
Yay! So far, we're doing good.
Well, now there's just one more.
Damn, but some people are really fast.
Yeah, I don't know. It actually amazes me. I've done it before, even though I wrote the questions, and I've not come first.
That's crazy. Yeah, and like this one, I actually 100% remember. So I know I have all answers correct, but I'm not anywhere on the top ranking that is shown.
Yeah, it's hard. Then we had Ray. He's on the Infinex team coming first. Easy
Hey,
Ray.
that shouldn't be legal. People from the team should be excluded.
Team members don't get any prizes, but I like them competing anyway, so that they're paying attention. That wraps everything up. I'm actually going to go and grab Kane because he's going to do a quick announcement and message on what we've been working on and what's coming up. Thanks so much, Anna. You're welcome to stay on if you want to say hi to Kane. I'm just going to go grab him. Okay. Are you good to jump in? Yeah.
Hey, what's happening? This seat is incredibly warm and like awkwardly warm.
I'll swap out the
Yeah,
chairs
let's
next
swap
time.
the chairs out. This is distracting. Like I feel like I'm sitting on a heater. Oh, that's better. Okay, wow. Still feel it. So what are we doing?
I just wanted to give you like a 5-minute update on your, like what's happening at Infinex from here.
Gives a strong word. Okay. Let's see. What is happening at Infinex? What's happening today, this very second, I guess, is we are working on getting Sonic out, which is not going well. We have some governance issues and a couple of other things that we're dealing with, a couple of production bugs. So hopefully that'll get sorted out later today. And we can push that out. We also have referrals going live, the first wave of referrals. So we try to decouple these a little bit, although Andre's kind of involved in both because he's going to be one of the people who gets enabled for referrals. So there's like a little bit of coupling that we might have to decouple, and he might get rugged, depending on if we can figure out how Sonic works in the next like 8 hours or so. So yeah, that's going to be the rest of the day, I guess. That's today. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that's going live that's in staging right now. We have the first version of Earn, I think it's being called 1.5. So it's like better than the first thing that we did, but not quite a 2.0 release. So that has a bunch of LRTs and LSTs that you can go into. I think the highest yield was like 16%, so pretty good. The worst yield was ETH, obviously, which is like 2%, which is pretty garbage. Not even sure how that one snuck in there. Vanilla ETH staking, but yeah, we'll dial that in. And I don't know. Sorry, I'm just like dealing with this release nonsense. So yeah, I was ill prepared for this. What else? What else is happening? Do you already show them the hat? I really thought this was CGI. I really did not like. I'm still not 100% convinced that this is actually on the hat.
To be honest, on the screen share, it did look a little fakeish.
It looks fake, right? Like it's definitely not real.
No, it's real.
I don't believe it.
Sent it to us.
All right. Okay.
I've seen it from multiple angles.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know how optimized deep fakes are for hats. I have to imagine highly optimized at this point in the AI cycle, but yeah, I'm a bit skeptical on this. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's a really minor thing, but I just don't like that we're advertising fake hats. It's not great. So yeah, I think I'll leave you with that. Is the hat real? That's the question of the day. Let's see. He's got what, like a week to produce a real hat. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. $100 says that we never see the hat. So, all right, I'll hand back over. Enjoy your extremely warm seat. Thanks, guys.
I'm an eternal optimist, so I definitely think the hat is real. And I think that's another thing to add we're going to be printing off and posting on the wall the best community content of the week. So this hat is definitely the winner. And I am going to be posting last week's as well. And to win this hat as well, we're going to be bringing up a new community content competition. So get excited for that. Anything you want to wrap up with, Anna?
No, it's just amazing to be here. I really like the format. I think you guys are building a really great community, and we are happy to be part of it.
Thanks so much. Everyone go and do a giant swap in CoW. Go and swidge in massive size, and CoW will come up as the router. And then thank Anna for the really good fills.
And even if it's a smaller size swap, it's still gonna do its job.
Amazing. Thanks so much, guys.
Ciao.